I'll call this regular meeting of the Hopewell Borough Council to order. Reggie, if you could do the sunshine statement.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by notice mailed to the Hopewell Valley News and the Trenton Times, posted on the bulletin board in Borough Hall, and filed with the Borough Clerk as required by law.
Very well. Join me in flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mayor Kennedy.
Here.
Mr. Buda.
Here.
Mr. Fuller.
Here.
Ms. Hook. Here. Ms. Steeler. Here. Ms. Weaver. Here. Ms. Valenius. Here.
Okay, first item on our agenda, item number 4, we have the report of our Director of Public Works and Water and Sewer that was in our packet. If anyone has any questions for our administrator, now would be the time. Next, as we do in all of our meetings, have an update on the sale of our water system to New Jersey American. Following the referendum in November, there's a series of steps to take. Currently, the expected earliest transition date would be in the June timeframe. Our team professionals meets with New Jersey American quite regularly. We will soon on our website have some information. It's actually drafted, but we'll post it shortly with an email update when it is there. But reminders that for now, if you have an issue with your water system, you continue to call the borough. We'll continue to receive bills from the borough and pay them as you normally would, things like that, and updated information about the expected time frame for transition, as well as links to how to start finding information about payment assistance programs. One of the things that the borough was not able to do traditionally, but New Jersey American has payment assistance programs for those in need, and we want to start getting the word out to those who might be able to pay quite a bit less than they otherwise would through that system. I also want to note there's been some both discussion you probably have all seen in the news about the next rate increase filed by New Jersey American with the Board of Public Utilities. More information will be coming on that. We've had a lot of meetings in the last 2 weeks with New Jersey American, and just initially I'll say that it has always been our expectation that every 2 years New Jersey American will file with Board of Public Utilities for changes in their rates, and this year was no exception for the next 2-year cycle. In our analysis throughout the sale, our financial experts predicted about a 5% increase per year. The information that we've initially analyzed, the initial request, the average user would be about 9% increase over 2 years. So about at that 5% that we were expecting. But that's just their initial request. Historically, the ultimate rate change has been about 45 to 50% of their initial request. So certainly more to come, but it does appear to be initially in line with our expectations and predictions about how the private rates would increase over time versus what our rates, if we kept the system, would increase over time. However, we will be posting more information about that, information about the BPU process that has started. People who may want to participate, comment, or read more about the proposed rate making. I personally am doing that and met with them, their rate folks, this week with my own questions. And once we get answers, we'll continue to share them out with the community. With that, I'll open up the floor. We'll start first of several public comment sections tonight. Mayor and council will take comments first from members of the public attending in person, then from members of the public attending via Zoom. Speakers will be limited for this first time to 5 minutes. Reminder that no immediate action will be taken on a public comment issue, though we'll try if we can to direct questions for answers for things that might be quick or simple. Make a comment or ask a question during the meeting via Zoom. Use the raise hand button on your Zoom software, and we'll bring you over after the in-person people. I'll also make 2 requests. Well, of course, people can comment and ask questions about anything during public comment. There are several items tonight that have their own public hearing. So if there is an issue that relates to an ordinance that has a public hearing, it would be best to make a comment then it would be part of the record for the ordinance that's being discussed. So the one in particular, ordinance 908, which is for New Jersey American Water Authority consent ordinance, which is one of the next steps in the sale. If you have a comment or question about that, it would be best for it to be during the public hearing, which will come up a little later. With that, I'll invite anyone in person to come up to the lectern or podium if you'd like. And again, remind people online to push the raise hand button. So, seeing none of either, I'll and with a reminder that there'll be several other opportunities this evening. I'll ask for a motion to close the first of several public comment sessions.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor? Thank you. So next, coming out of our agenda setting process this past week, maybe some other people have made this comment in the past that I had forgotten, but Heidi, thank you. Usually at the end of our meetings, we do our liaison reports, and often there's a lot of good information there, public notices or things, events happening that we like to get the word out. And honestly, our meetings sometimes are really long and not everyone can stay to the end. So the thought was to move that up to the front and start with that. So tonight we'll see how that works. Like anything else that we do, you have thoughts or comments about whether it's better later or better at the beginning or better to have public comment before or after that, let us know. That's, we'll take it into consideration. So with that, and expecting that he'll have a short list, still being quite new, Paul, if you'd like to start.
Sure. So I attended virtually the sustainability meeting in Mercer County. It was on January 23rd. And a good group of people with a very good strategy for sustainability, opinion things and expanding programs. A good group, and so that was that report. The other thing was for seniors. Unfortunately, I had that horrible flu. I don't get it. And they don't have a Ryan there, so they can't do the meeting virtually. So I tried. It would be 15 minutes. And planning board, we had a very exciting meeting yesterday. Of course, some of us had to recuse ourselves, but Peter Mackel did a really good job in making that meeting very productive and a very good meeting. That's it for me.
Thank you, Paul. I'll just join you as one of the people who also had to recuse himself from the substance meeting last night. I just want to thank everyone who came and all the board members for, I think, really a well-run meeting. And I'll note this is new for us, but if you weren't able to see the meeting, while it was broadcast for Zoom, it is also now already posted on the borough's YouTube channel. We're going to try going forward to also put the planning board meetings up on YouTube as well, for reasons that are a little, just as a reminder, but a little too complicated to explain at the moment. Those meetings are still, if you're looking to make a comment there, you have to go in person to those meetings. You can watch them online, but due to some, I'm going to use the word quirks, it is much more complicated than that, but things that we are looking at with our professionals, for the time being, our goal of having them be fully hybrid, we'll have to wait for us to find some additional solutions. So thank you. Thank you, Paul.
Sure. The green team, the annual metal recycling event is this Saturday from noon to 3 at the Hopewell Township Municipal Complex. The rule of thumb is they will take anything that is at least 60% metal, nothing with wood, or nothing that might be considered hazardous, like batteries, propane tanks, or flint. But everything else, your old metal filing cabinets, your metal fencing, your small scraps of metal are welcome. They also take holiday lights and electrical cords. They just ask that you not mix them in with your other stuff. As long as it's in your car, they've got volunteers there to unload your car. It is the easiest process. And I really, folks can take advantage of it. That's great. We are also having a community potluck on Sunday, February 15th from 5 to 7 at the train station. You can find the RSVP link in the recent Borough email. It's also on the Green Team website and on social media for both the Green Team and Hopewell Borough. As always, it's potluck. You bring a dish to share and you just bring your own place setting. And we're having a puzzle swap this time. It's completely optional. We are still recycling plastic at Borough Hall. We are still looking for volunteers to help with that. So please let me know if you could help. My email is very long, but it is on the Borough website. And the next Borough Green Team meeting is February 11th at 7 p.m. at the Hopewell Public Library, and we are always looking for new volunteers. The Hopewell Valley Open Space had our first meeting of the year this week. We re-elected the officers, not a lot, we didn't do a lot else, but we have already scheduled an extra in-person meeting in March to discuss our goals for the year, so. And the communications team is working on the website, so I will let Ryan fill folks in on that. And that's it.
Thank you so much. I think we're gonna go next.
I'm still disoriented by the change of sequence. I'm sure. Okay, so the Board of Health met on Wednesday, 28th for the reorganization. Same office as last year. Kathy Ryan continues as chair of the board. We reviewed the health officer's report for December. Nothing significant to share with you, but we also looked at a social support resources flyer, which actually would be great if we could add to the website. It's a public source of information. In the coming months, we're going to be talking about goals for 2026. You might remember that we published an epidemiology report, 2024, which is on the website. And the board is now thinking of another landmark project for this year. Probably something like a needs assessment survey of borough residents, which I think has not been done for a while, if at all. So the board is well aware they're not fully informed of what the public really wants to get from them. So if that goes ahead, then that will help inform what the board works on this year. And then finally, tonight we're going to introduce Ordinance 909 to add alternates to the board. So we'll talk about that when it comes up on the agenda.
Thanks so much. Sure.
The EDC met and we have 3 potential new members. One who's been coming as a member of the public, so that's very exciting. Jill Farmer, who is opening for Onero, and Leo Voorhees from the barbershop. So that's really exciting. We're working on some construction recommendation for the business district, which will be coming to you at some point, Jerry, just like when we know something's happening, we can let businesses know, we can put signs out saying it's open. We're continuing our business surveys, just so businesses know we're out there, and working on 2026 priorities. They're currently doing work on old Hopewell Business Association signs. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that. The arrows are getting done right now. We'll have to talk at some point about how they're like all kind of tilted and mowed at the bottom. But anyway, the signs are getting done, which is exciting. Fire department and EMS. So, you know, we had that referendum for the new ambulance, and unfortunately the township, for whatever their reason was, did not put the referendum on their ballot. So we needed the township in order to afford this new ambulance, and they did. So the point of the new ambulance was that the one they're using now is 20 years old, and it has like the old manual like stretcher, and the new ambulances come with the power stretcher, so that, you know, they have 16-year-old volunteers, you know, who could operate that and load an adult onto the stretcher. So anyway, they're doing an independent fundraiser. I think this thing costs like $22,000. So if you're got an extra 20 in your pocket looking for somewhere to put it, they could use some help raising funds for that. They purchased their own 2-way radios without raising taxes, so they really are a razor thin budget. They're doing a great job, but this is so far outside of that. And you may have seen my post during snowstorms to adopt a hydrant near you and dig it out 3 feet around, so that the fighters don't have to spend their time digging out fire hydrants. If there's a fire near one, they can just walk up and plug it in. So you could adopt it. We named ours Fernando. and 3 feet in a path to the street. Last but not least, Shade Tree Committee, Jerry is being super helpful and looking into grant funding for our forestry plan, which is still ongoing, but I feel like we're making progress. Planning some exciting Arbor Day events, so stay tuned. And just a reminder, any tree removal for any reason needs to be noticed here at the borough. So if it's alive, if it's dead, just fill out your form. And if it's dead, it's fine. We just want to know about it. And if you are planning to plant a tree in the spring, you can contact Shade Tree and they have good advice on what types of trees to plant, which ones do well. I learned that magnolias are shade tree or like under canopy trees. That's why they die if you plant them in the middle of your lawn. So don't waste your money on a tree without talking to an expert. Yes.
Thank you. Deb?
Okay. The library board met this week on Tuesday. They're working on events for this year, and the big move right now is they're trying to form a 501c3 to allow grant applications similar to the Friends organization that we're all new in town, which has been disbanded. Recreation Committee is meeting on Monday, February 9th. We're working on the events flyer. Again, if anybody has any events to add to it, we'll read them in the next couple of weeks. And that's about it for now. That quiet. And buildings and grounds, we're planning for the DPW renovation, but maybe I'll let Ryan talk more about that later. Flying for some brands to see tonight, park rehab, and we have a DPW tour on Saturday. Ryan's gonna have his office hours. Personnel committee, we're gonna be meeting later this month to talk about the employee manual and some updates. And I guess the e-bike rules have changed in town, so I don't know, Krista, if that's your world, but I'm thinking about talking to the police about that. And that's it, thank you.
Thank you, Kristen, and let me know when you're ready. I'm encouraged, and Kristen, thank you, taking up on it. We can always use visuals when we're doing these as well. So if you have something you'd like to show, just let me know, and I'm happy to put it up on screen for
I have a
you.
brief presentation. It's not gonna be any longer than 45 minutes, I promise.
If you're starting with that, I can put it up for you.
Yeah, we're ready.
Okay. Promise that it would work, and 1 second, if you're on Zoom, I have to share the screen as well, so apologies, people in the room can now see it, and now I think people on Zoom can see it as well.
All right, so Jerry and I met with folks from the county planning and engineering departments on Monday, January 26th, to discuss improving safety measures for the intersection of Broad Street and Greenwood Avenue. The county has contracted an engineering firm to do traffic counts at the intersection, and they did this at the beginning of December. This resulted in a recommendation for a 7-second leading pedestrian interval. You may ask, what is a leading pedestrian interval? Next slide, please. So this is one of the Federal Highway Administration's proven safety countermeasures. This means that it is proven to be effective at reducing highway fatalities and roadway fatalities and injuries. They traditionally provide a lead time of 3 to 7 seconds, so ours is recommended to be on the longer end of that. And this is to allow pedestrians to establish their presence in the crosswalk. The LPI recommended for this intersection would only come into play when it is actuated. So only if a pedestrian is there, pushes the button to walk, would the leading pedestrian interval become part of the interval. Next slide, please.
I really was Trump, sorry.
So here we have a little bit of a visual. Again, it really just increases visibility for pedestrians crossing. It reduces conflicts between pedestrians and vehicles because they will be able to see the pedestrians more clearly in the crosswalk. There is an increased likelihood of motorists yielding to pedestrians if they're actually in the crosswalk, and enhanced safety for pedestrians who may be slower to start at the intersection. So say you have a stroller or you're carrying lots of things. And next slide. So why should we have a leading pedestrian interval here? Well, for over the past 10 years, every crash at this intersection that has involved a vulnerable road user, so that means a pedestrian or a cyclist, occurred when a vehicle was turning left onto Broad Street from Greenwood Avenue. That means either North Greenwood or South Greenwood. Left-hand turns are the cause of all these crashes. This is one of the most used crossings for children walking to Hopewell Elementary School. Broad Street, this is literally a very broad street. The crossing distance is significant, especially for those who may be slower to start in the intersection. And a leading pedestrian interval is basically a low cost and effective way to reduce the likelihood of crashes involving vulnerable road users. And especially when you combine it with our already implemented right turn on red light restrictions, that increases the efficacy. Next slide, please. So according to the study commissioned by the county engineering and planning departments, the 7-second leading pedestrian interval will have a minimal impact on vehicle operations, and the no approach to the intersection would be projected to experience more than 6 seconds of average vehicle delay as a result of the LPI during peak hours analyzed. So that is really only during rush hour and, you know, busy hours on the weekend. I think the normal delay would be about 3 seconds more, according to the report. And next slide, please. And here is just some more statistics from a different study. This one was done in State College, but this shows nearly a 60% reduction in pedestrian vehicle crashes at treated intersections that have a leading pedestrian interval. There are some helpful links. Hopefully we can get this up on the website so anyone who wants more information can follow up on these links to read more about it. And so just to wrap it up, the memo also recommends curb extensions for the intersection, and this is something that we have discussed previously. This was a recommendation from the GMTMA school travel plan that they produced for us in 2022. We have already exchanged preliminary concept designs with the county from our engineering department to theirs, or our engineers to theirs. So that is something that we are going to continue discussions with, and I believe it would be something similar to what we have on North Greenwood Avenue with the curb extensions there. So paint and flexible bollards. I'm not sure of the exact materials at this time or what it would look like, but we kind of got a feel for what this might be like with the snow reducing that travel lane. So it kind of feels something like that. We have an idea of that. So yeah, it's really exciting news, and I'll definitely keep you updated on curb extensions as we learn more about them.
So is the LPI.
Yeah, I do think actually the snow slowed the traffic.
Yeah,
Like, cause the street is narrower
Yeah.
and the traffic goes slower because our cross street's narrower.
yeah, that's the
So that,
point of
like,
traffic
yeah.
light. Yeah, more narrow streets reduce speed and therefore reduce serious injuries and fatalities.
Krista, thank you, and Jerry, and our partners at the county.
Oh, I forgot to thank them. I'm sorry.
No worries, no.
No, thank you so much to Jerry for facilitating this and also for his guidance with this. And also I do want to thank the county planning and engineering departments, because we had this meeting on Monday, the 26th, when the county was actually closed for the snow. So they took their day off to meet with us. So that was really nice of them.
Thank you. And historically, this issue, this intersection has been one of focus by the borough, including there was a standing request for the, I guess, the predecessor version, you know, the older thinking.
The barn stance, yes. A barn stance is the all stop, which had been rejected previously because it would have too severe an impact on traffic flow. This would maintain the current level of service, which is about a C, if anyone is interested in that. Limited effect on traffic flow. Would I rather have a barn stance? Of course I would, but I'll take what I can get to improve safety.
Yes, thank you. Some notes from me. I want to thank our Department of Public Works and DOT partners in the county for all of the hard work. In case you missed it, there was a little bit of snow recently. They were out there doing so much, and I want to thank them for all their hard work. And all our residents and business owners' kindness and work to do their job, their roles, both in getting cars off the street, which we had really good turnout for. It is essential when the snow is coming to move parked cars so that they can plow, and people got the message this time, and we're very appreciative of that. A little less so with sidewalk shoveling. A pretty good response, but I'll be honest, if you don't shovel your sidewalks, you probably got a visit from Hopewell Township Police Department. Thank Jerry and everyone for helping to help with some enforcement. People eventually got the message. You'll get the message more quickly next time. I really hope it's important that we all do our part. People are walking to school, walking to our businesses, and it is all of our responsibilities to make sure the sidewalks in front of our properties are cleared. So thank you for everyone for doing that. Again, gloves on for shoveling, but they might have to come off a little bit more next time for enforcement. The mayors of, I'll be here all week. The Mercer County mayors meet regularly, and we did so about 2 weeks ago to collaborate on various issues. And appreciate working with them and the Mayor Mirnoff in East Windsor for hosting this time. We have an item, well, I'm sorry, forget that. Probably saw in the news the litigation that was previously between Hopewell Borough, Pennington Borough, and Hopewell Township about some of their pilot work. If you recall, we had exited ourselves from this quite some time ago, expecting the efforts not to be successful. Ultimately, the Supreme Court agreed with our take there, and that is not continuing. But however, our efforts to make sure that our residents are paying a fair portion of school tax continue on many fronts. And it comes kind of woven into almost everything we do. I wish I could be more specific about some of the things that we're discussing both with our professionals and that are part of all of the other discussions we have, whether it's shared services or other things. But it is an important goal of this community to be affordable, and how much we pay. And this is not a commentary on how much the school district spends, but what portion that we pay is very important to us and something, a part of all the things that we do. There is an item tonight where we will be retaining, along with many other municipalities in Mercer County, outside law firm to attend to litigation brought by an individual targeting just about every town, I believe, all 12 of us. Thank you, Mr. Sypek, our municipal attorney, for confirming that, unfortunately. But it's an example of one of the collaborations that our professionals have with our neighbors, as well as the mayor's talking about this as well, to have the most efficient way for all of us to jointly deal with a particular issue. This is one where I'm not going to be more specific, but involves some public records requests and a lot of paperwork, I'll say. Continued positive discussions with our counterparts in Hopewell Township on existing shared services and new shared services. Our administrator, Jerry Jones, and I met with Hopewell Township's administrator, I believe last week, to go over the details of some of them. Just to not prejudice the negotiation, I'll be more specific. But I'm looking forward to announcing in the coming months, potentially an opportunity for another shared service with our biggest neighbor, Hopewell Township, and some potential changes to one of our existing shared service, and thank them for their continued willingness to work with this. June 6th will be the Hopewell in the morning, will be the annual, now the third annual Hopewell Valley Mayor's First Responders Awards, and it's a long time to put on the calendar, but I say it aloud. Just we heard Councilman Hook's update for our emergency services, and we cannot say enough what great things they do. And it's it's an absolute honor to get to recognize one or two of them each year. As Council President Steeler mentioned, this Saturday at 9 o'clock. And I think the weather doesn't look to be like a problem, but always check the website before you go to an event. The monthly Mayor's Coffee will be this Saturday, 9 a.m. And again, like we did in December, we'll be at the Public Works Facility at 13 Burton. I'll have coffee. Please, again, check the website. Be safe in getting there. It is a little icy, but opportunity to ask questions, comment, or meet with myself, of course, but also a chance to see our Public Works Facility, at which the council has been working on potential renovations too. On those lines as well, on this month, we'll have 2 planning board meetings. There's the one last night, which was on the Hopewell 57 project. On the 18th, 2 weeks from last night, we'll have a second meeting. There'll be a presentation, an updated presentation on the Public Works Facility project. as well as tonight. There are several affordable housing related ordinances. The planning board will be reviewing those that night as well. So it's an important night for the planning board, but one where Hopewell 57 will not be addressed, but other borough business like our public works building and our affordable housing will. So certainly encourage everyone to watch online or come to the meeting. In recent weeks, I'll just say discussions with two possible new businesses. I just thank them for their interest in the borough. If you're thinking of doing something in town or have a question, please reach out to me or really any of us and our administrator. We're happy to meet or try to arrange a meeting with the right professionals to make sure that you know what is needed to start up or how we can possibly help. Along those lines, for future redevelopment opportunities, of which there is one we hope coming up. We've assembled a team to be ready to review things, and we've already met with one possible perspective. Again, it's hard to discuss without being specific about things that are being negotiated, and I apologize. But I thank Paul Buda, our historic preservation chair, Elsie Baxter, our Peter Mackel, our planning board chair, for being available. And again, if you have an idea for something in town, we'll try to make the right people available. Just please reach out. There will be 2 ribbon cuttings coming up Wednesday, the 18th at 4 p.m. Core. Oh gosh, my typing is terrible, and I need new glasses. But on Princeton Avenue, for sports medicine, which is right outside the borough technically, on Princeton Avenue, just to go out of town, they'll be having a ribbon cutting along with Mayor David Chait for the township. And then again, a little ways away, March 20th, Master Plan Investment Group, which is the financial advisors, but the recent-ish purchasers of 14 Model Avenue, 14 Mercer Street, not Model Avenue. That's someone's house. Sorry, 14 Mercer Street. And they'll be having ribbon cutting on the 20th. As these come closer, obviously, more information. Bill, I mentioned the update about New Jersey American earlier. The fire department's having their dinner dance this weekend. And Councilwoman Hook and I attended a joint meeting of the fire district representatives and the 3 towns to try to continue our positive collaborations to make things better and find more resources for our emergency services and obviously to make sure that all 3 towns can work better together. I want to thank Will Mullen and our OEM coordinator, Steve Webb. Will Mullen is the township coordinator for emergency management for their work during the storm. Very quick on the website, but the communications committee continues to populate and work with our administrator to get it ready. Very soon, I think, upcoming step will be a distribution to council members to start looking at the pages that are related to their, but first in general, of course, but the pages related to their committees and other activities. We can start collecting that data. And I'll say we're kind of moving into some intensive testing and understanding of the communications tools that will be available. Some of us even this week might have gotten a test text of an alert that's possible. So thank you for Sherry and Heidi and Jerry for working that, and Krista as well, as we were selecting the website last year. Also want to thank our partners in the Dark Sky Initiative for the continuing work with them. This upcoming meeting with the county and public service that we're going to have to work on our Dark Sky Initiative. And lastly, we'll have a proclamation for her tonight. We're not going to read, but I really personally want to thank and congratulate Heidi Kami, who recently, last week was her last meeting, but retired as our longtime coordinator and director of the Hopewell Valley Municipal Alliance. We're all very appreciative of her work. So with that, Jerry, I'll turn over to you.
Okay, Jason.
Oh, sure.
So Deb and I actually met with some concerned neighbors on the Department of Public Works early January, I think it was the 10th. And that was a very good meeting. Get some input on that project ahead of the February 18th meeting. And the other thing I just wanted to connect with Krista on the public safety. And I have to be careful here. since I recused myself on a recent project. But if there is a recent project that involves crosswalks, and let's say they just proposed 2 when they could have done 4, because there were not sidewalks across from their property. Let me back up a little. When I was on planning board in the early 2000s with Brad Line, we talked about sidewalk and connectivity and filling in the dots, filling in the connections that are missing in the borough. So that's an opportunity because homeowners really can't afford it. I mean, it's hard to afford a $6,000 sidewalk.
Absolutely.
But if someone is doing a big development and trying to connect, that's an opportunity to help us connect their project to our borough. And it's safety for everyone.
No, absolutely. And I don't want to speak out of school from not on the planning board, but I mean, in the conversations I've had with the developer, he has been willing to work towards improving pedestrian and bike safety. I know that there was a mini roundabout that was proposed, which is pretty much the gold standard when it comes to
Yes.
pedestrian and bike safety in an intersection. So I hope planning board would take that into consideration when making their decision, not you guys, but the rest of the planning board.
Let me just caution us not to talk about any active applications, but thank you both, and there's, it sounds like lots of great opportunities to collaborate on things like our complete streets, upcoming projects, and our safe routes to school, things all kind of converge in positive ways, so thank you both.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a couple items in addition to the report that I previously submitted. I'll touch on some different items and just kind of touch on some of the items that you previously mentioned. Echo the sentiments of the mayor and everybody else, thanking the DPW and our county partners for their work during the storm. The parking situation was significantly better, largely in part because I made up some flyers, and in the day before the storm, Public Works Department went to the areas that were known for being the problem areas and putting them, sliding them indoors and putting them on windshield. So that played a large role in the improvement. I plan on doing the same thing in the lead up to the next storm, which I hope is not for a long time, and doing that with the homes that are having difficulty shoveling in time. Recognizing that that can be difficult, maybe we can try to figure something out for those who are maybe unable to do it, and we can work on a way to handle that. But for those that are able to do it and are not doing it, there is a mechanism in the code that allows us to, handle that situation and then submit some charges after the fact. It's tricky, but there's a mechanism in there to do that. We don't want to do that, obviously, but if we have to, we will, because safety is paramount. And when you have storms like this, and school's open, kids are trying to walk to school and they're walking around, on shoveled sidewalks onto the street, whether it's a side street or maybe broad street. So that's something we're going to address, and we'll continue to look at that.
Jerry, I have a 9-year-old who will do a very average job for.
I'll keep that in mind. On the recreation grant that's on the agenda tonight, this is one of those grants that does not require the significant level of public input that we talked about with the last grant. So this is a basic grant that we're doing that will supplement all the future work at the Borough Park. It includes ADA access, ADA trails going from the parking lot to the park itself. And that grant application is due at the end of this month. So upon approval of that resolution, we'll submit it for $100,000. No guarantee with what we're going to get, but that will be part of the overall larger plan that we plan on doing in the next, several weeks to months. On the website, the only thing I'll add, in addition to what's been said, is that I'm reaching out to another municipality where I have some, friends with who have the same website to gauge how they're doing their public outreach and their text alerts and their email alerts. So I'll be working with the person in a different municipality who does that to just learn a little more of the efficiencies of the website. I have a pretty good handle on most of it and how things are added, but there's some nuances there that I want to, get clear up. We have I sent out an email today. It's about scheduling a finance committee meeting next week. So once we have the dates for everybody's availability, we'll set that out. We're at about the time now where we have all the relevant information we need to have a productive meeting, rather than just get together 2-3 weeks ago before having really a lot of productive information. So now we have most of that information and we can have a productive discussion. On the community management forestry plan that was mentioned, I have a meeting tomorrow with some DEP representatives. In addition to that, I've spoken with a consulting firm who is one of the few listed on the website as a licensed forester, somewhat in the area. I discovered from looking at the records that the last approved plan we had was in 2013. There was a plan submitted in 2018 that was never approved and still in draft. So, something, went amiss there. But there was never inventory done before. So the grant that I'll be applying for would be a $20,000 grant, would have a small match that would not only approve the forestry plan, but, pay for a tree inventory throughout the community. Lastly, I'll just touch on something for the sake of the public record that was in my report regarding a scam that's been going around, and it kind of makes its way around every few months. I had a gentleman come in, a resident, come into the office, asking for some issues related to the court. The court wasn't here. I heard him say to me, he got a text message about a fine he had to pay, or his license was going to be suspended. I knew right away that was a scam. It's a common scam that's been going around. The courts don't send text messages to people. He had mentioned his fine was, the last ticket he got was in 2009 or 10. And, he wanted to get some records on that ticket. I said, well, the court can get you records on the ticket. I can guarantee you this is a scam. So I went online, I printed out some of the newspaper articles and some articles from the Attorney General's office that literally showed the exact text message that he got on his phone. So, it's something people have to be aware of because, the message sometimes looks a little scary, and, they send these out to 1 million phones. And if you're someone who's had a ticket in the last month or two and maybe didn't pay, or maybe 6 months and you forgot, it's an easy scam to fall for. You click on the link and, whether they're phishing or trying to get your information, it can be very devastating to lose your identity, to lose that kind of money. So just something to be aware of. All the resolutions and ordinances will come up. If you have any questions on those as they come up, feel free to ask, or if you have anything else, I'll entertain those now.
Thank you, Jared. Next item on our agenda, minutes from item 9, minutes from our January 5th regular and reorganization meeting. Unless there's any comments or changes, I'll take a motion on that. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right.
Mr. Buda?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
The next item is our second reading of ordinance number 908. Usually American Municipal Consent Ordinance. Again, copies of these can be found on our website under new and pending ordinances. Reggie, you could read by title.
An ordinance of the Borough of Hopewell, Mercer County, granting municipal consent to New Jersey American Water Company, Inc. to provide water service and the construction, expansion, and maintenance of water facilities in the public right-of-way in the Borough of Hopewell in order to furnish water service within the boundaries of the borough.
Obviously, this one, I think the title of it was almost longer than the actual ordinance. My understanding from talking to our special outside counsel who signed the transaction is this is one of the next steps that we do to have BPU approve the transaction that was approved by the voters in November. This particular piece, if moved forward and approved by BPU, is part of the essentially handover of the system and their right to serve our residents in the borough as it said. Again, repeating, I guess, the update from the beginning of the meeting. Best guess from the professionals on the transaction and transition team is that would be no sooner than June at this point. I'll open up the meeting to the public. This again is a second reading, so this is a public hearing for comments or questions. If you're in person, please come up to the front. If you're online, push the raised hand button. Seeing none of either, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 908 to the public. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? All right, next, I'll take a motion.
It's roll call.
Well, that was just on the closing public.
Sorry. I want to make sure. It was done.
Not our rodeo. Next, I'll take a motion to adopt ordinance 908.
I'll second.
All right, and I think warrant.
Mr. Buda,
Yes.
Mr. Fuller,
Yes.
Ms. Hook,
Yeah.
Ms. Steeler,
Yes.
Ms. Weaver,
Yeah.
Ms. Williams.
Yeah.
The next 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items on the agenda are first readings of ordinances. That means that they will each have a second vote and public hearing at our March meeting, which would be the time to comment or ask questions, of course, as part of the record of those. In the case of 2 of them, they will also be referred to our planning board for what's called a master plan consistency review when we have land use ordinances, in this case, our affordable housing plan, they go there as well. So with that, item number 11, ordinance 909, which for our Board of Health ordinance, Reggie, if you could read by title.
An ordinance of the Borough of Hopewell, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 2, Administration, Article 17, Board of Health, Section 2-17.1, Appointment.
My understanding of this one is that the request of Councilman Fuller, basically to kind of modernize our ordinance that governs our our Board of Health to allow for more members and alternates. Evan, anything you want to add?
Yes, absolutely. Just very quickly on this, we're very lucky in Hopewell to have a very strong Board of Health with a number of outstanding public health professionals. One of the consequences is that they travel quite a lot to conduct field work, and so it's important to have other people available to help achieve quorum for board convention. So it really is, it's quite an administrative step, but it's necessary to ensure the successful functioning of the board.
Excellent. I'll take a motion to introduce ordinance 909.
I move.
Do I have a second?
Mr. Buda,
Yes.
Mr. Fuller,
Yes.
Ms. Hook,
Yes.
Ms. Steeler,
Yes.
Ms. Weaver,
Yeah.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
Do you have candidates for the positions?
Pete.
We'll talk about that
Yes.
next. Step 1.
Our next, again, 2 ordinances. We'll start with ordinance 910, which is our affordable housing requirements. So if you could read this one by title.
Ordinance 910 of the Borough of Hopewell, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, addressing the requirements of the Fair Housing Act and Uniform Housing Affordability Controls, and amending Section 10A-4.4 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Hopewell, 1975, regarding development fees.
So if those of you who are following along the state requirements for this current round of affordable housing, Hopewell Borough last year created our 4th round affordable housing plan. It was a document that our planner and planning board and professionals worked on, adopted by council for what Hopewell Borough plans to do for the next 10 years and in regard to affordable housing. That's both how many units we believe are needed and how generally we would do. That was there was a requirement to finish that essentially by the end of last year. And along with the requirements with that was required by this spring, it's generally a date in March, to pass any ordinances required to implement those plans. This one and the next one, 911, implement that. Largely, these are the technical pieces in our ordinance to allow for or require fees in lieu of affordable housing. Art, or if anyone else wants to add to that, happy to. So with that, I'll take a motion to introduce ordinance 910. Second.
Second.
Mr. Buda,
Yes.
Mr. Fuller,
Yes.
Ms. Hook,
Yes.
Ms. Steeler,
Yes.
Ms. Weaver,
Yes.
Ms. Williams.
Yes.
As a reminder, this ordinance and the next one will be reviewed by our planning board on the 18th. And then voted on again by this body at our March meeting, at which point there will be a public hearing. So item 13, ordinance 911 for first reading.
Ordinance 911 of the Borough of Hopewell, County of Mercer, State of New Jersey, addressing the requirements of the Fair Housing Act and the Uniform Housing Affordability Controls, ensuring the borough's compliance with its affordable housing obligations, and establishing a new Chapter 13A entitled Hopewell Borough 4th Round Affordable Housing Requirements of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Hopewell, 1975.
Similar to the last ordinance, this is a piece of our plan. This one implements the affordable housing fees and sets up the trust fund where we would keep that money and spend it on affordable housing projects if we were to have them in the future. I'll take a motion to introduce ordinance 911. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Buda?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Steeler?
Yeah.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Again, that one will again be reviewed by planning board on the 18th and be back for second reading on our March meeting. Next, item 14, ordinance 912 for first reading.
An ordinance of the Borough of Hopewell, County of Mercer, New Jersey, concerning Class 5 cannabis businesses in the borough and amending Chapter 12 zoning and Chapter 20 cannabis businesses of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Hopewell, 1975.
This one came about with a request from a business as well as our professionals. There are two pieces of it. Currently, our ordinance only allows, well, I get this right, for cannabis retailers, for which we have one, can only be open till 8 o'clock. They had requested, consistent with the rest of their strip mall where they are, to be open until 9 o'clock. So this would allow that. And second is when we first started years ago with an ordinance to allow cannabis, we thought it would make sense to get monthly invoices and checks from the company. That has turned out to be extremely cumbersome, and this would modify that to quarterly, so we would get quarterly tax payments and audits. That I'll take a motion to introduce ordinance 912.
So moved.
I'll second
Mr. Buda?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you. Again, that will be discussed, accepting comments and questions at our March meeting. Finally, item 15, ordinance 913 for first reading.
An ordinance by the Borough of Hopewell, County of Mercer, and State of New Jersey, vacating an existing 30-foot wide water line easement no longer needed for public purposes across Block 8, Lot 44.01 on the Hopewell Township tax map, and accepting the conveyance of a new 20-foot wide water line easement across said property.
Thank you. My understanding of this one is that there are several places in the borough where we currently have water pipes or water mains that are on private property. The term for the rights that the borough would have to do that, it's called an easement. That's a property right to essentially have a pipe on someone's property. This one in particular, it turns out the place where the easement was written to be is not where the pipe is. Staff and professionals have been working with the property owner to correct that. This is one of the steps in fixing that, to have the place where the easement, the deed says the easement is, match up where the place actually is. And it's probably more complicated than that. It's probably the closest I can to explain. I'll take a motion to introduce ordinance 913.
Move.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Buda?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Steeler?
Yeah.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Okay, next we have our consent agenda. Most of these items had been kind of mentioned earlier in the evening. I'm gonna complicate things a little bit. First, I'll take a motion for everything up until 33, excepting 31. So this is the motion for 20, for resolution 27 through 30 and 32 and 33.
Can I ask one clarifying
Sure.
question? But it's just like a clarifying question on the grant agreement. Because I just was looking at the numbers. I'm assuming these numbers are not, this is
The small portion of what's going to be.
right, but some of the numbers just seemed like there were there was like a $3,000 park, there were 8 $3,000 park benches. And the numbers just seemed high for what they were. But it looks like this was the engineer's estimate, not, I just want to make sure that there's flexibility there, because there was also the clean stone, there was like, it seemed excessively high.
Yeah, it's an estimate, we try that for the purpose of the grant. get as much fun.
And that's fine, and so that's, as long as when we're actually going to bid, I just wanted to, when I see numbers that are seeing,
That's just, yeah.
that's fine.
No, we're near bidding.
Okay.
So my request for the initial motion, item 31, which is the Granicus Agenda Management Software, is to hold that for a future meeting so more of us can see what it looks like and wrap our heads around it before we move forward. But am excited about that solution for us. And then I'll ask that 34, which is the resolution that myself and Mr. Buddha are recused from, be done separately. So if I could have a motion for 27 through 33, accepting 31. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you.
Mr. Buda?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
All right, and I'll ask Council President Steeler to entertain a motion on the item 34, for which myself and Mr. Buddha have to recuse ourselves.
So I'd like to ask for a motion to approve resolution number 202634, which is basically to extend the time that the site plan had to be submitted to the planning board, based on the talks that we had to have with them about different things. So anybody?
I'll second. Thank you.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Mayor, if I may, your resolution 2026-31, which was not voted on tonight, but is on your agenda, you should probably do a motion to table that.
Excellent thought. I'll accept it. I'll seek a motion to table resolution 2026-31 to our next meeting.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
A second.
Mr. Buda?
Yes.
Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
No.
I think we should do it.
Oh,
I mean, we're gonna table it, it's not like it makes a difference.
yes. Ms. Williams?
Yes.
Thank you. And I do share your vigor for efficiencies of obviously of improving our agendas. Thank you.
Sounds good to me.
All right, item 17, I'll look for a motion to approve our claim for payment this year. This month. Second. Thank you.
Mr. Buda?
Yes.
Ms. Fuller? Mr. Fuller?
Yes.
Ms. Hook?
Yes.
Ms. Steeler?
Yes.
Ms. Weaver?
Yes.
Ms. Williams?
Yes.
As noted during my liaison report before, again, tonight we're honoring Hallie Tommy as the outgoing chair of the Hopewell Valley Municipal Alliance, and sure everyone here who's been with her or been to one of her meetings or one of the many things she's done in our community joins us in thanking her. Thank you.
Yeah, she's done a great job over many years, structuring activities, for our children in schools and creating healthy communities for our town. So we're very grateful for her service. 30 years, a long time.
With that, item 19 is our second and final opportunity for public comment or questions. If you're here in person, please come up to the front. If you're online, please push the raised hand button. Anyone in person? No? All right, I'm going to start with our online people. Shrek, I'm going to promote you to a panelist, and we should in a second see you come over. If you can hear me, you should have a prompt on your screen to accept becoming a panelist. There you go. One more second and should appear. No. So, June, if you can hear me, I'm gonna try a different method. I'm gonna push, there's an option to allow you to talk and not be seen. We'll see if that one works. Being able to speak, you can unmute yourself. I'm not sure why the video part's not working, but see if you can speak now and we'll see if we can hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? I can hear you. And it looks like my audio is working on this end. It appears my audio is working here.
Whatever you just did caused it to work, so we can hear you now. Apologies that the video's not working. There's not many people here to see you though. So if you want to introduce yourself, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Yes, my name is June Schwank. So I wanted to thank whoever returned my water bottle last month. I had left my pink water bottle behind and then somebody returned it to my front door. So I appreciate that. And I have a question about the ordinance 908. And to clarify, is this just basically like a rubber stamp process for the borough to move forward with the draft contract that essentially the council rubber stamped in 2025?
So I guess without using the word rubber stamp, I'll say this is one of the deliverables in the contract that will effectuate the sale. This one in particular will authorize or at least request the Board of Public Utilities to have New Jersey American essentially have access to our streets to serve our community with water.
Okay, so to clarify, the draft contract that American Water wrote and that the council approved, where the council didn't go back with any terms for the contract. This is not, there was never like an opportunity, or was there, where Hopewell would be able to request terms.
So, lot to unpack there, June. The contract that was draft until it was approved by the council to execute and approved by BPU is on the website. That is the contract. I'll disagree with you that it was written by New Jersey American. It was a collaborative. Each party had their own attorneys and negotiated the documents. And it has, with apologies, I don't recall whether it is now pending approval by BPU or whether it has been approved, but it's been executed and submitted to BPU for approval. At the moment, I personally don't recall if we're waiting for their approval or if we received it.
Yeah, no, I understand that it was already presented to BPU. That's why I was wondering why there's an ordinance here. Like, what would it do? It is basically a rubber stamp for Hopewell Borough, the 908.
So the contract dictates the things that each party does to approach a closing in a transaction. Ordinance 908 is one of those things. I don't know how to describe it any better than that. There will be perhaps deeds of easement, for example, to transfer property rights at some point as part of a closing. It's not at all like buying a house, but essentially you, if you were to analogize it to buying a house, you've got the home sale contract that causes each party to do certain things. One of them is for the borough to request certain approvals from BPU and the state. One of them is to provide this ordinance. And then ultimately, when you get to the closing table, one party provides money and the other party provides a water system, I suppose. Right. So this is a deliverable that was called for under our contract to provide in anticipation of closing.
Okay, and then regarding just the contract that we have with American Water, were there any terms negotiated by Hopewell? You're saying that us trying to assert that it was mutually beneficial, the contract, or that, you know, Hopewell participated in requesting terms. Can you give an example of any terms that were requested on behalf of the public?
The document was negotiated by each party. At the moment, it's been months since I looked at it, so I don't recall which things we asked for, which things they asked for that were rejected. To be honest with you, I don't, but just the way this document worked was it was negotiated on behalf of the borough, and behalf of New Jersey American, and this document was a result of the negotiations.
Okay, thank you. And then just to follow up on the intention that you had stated back in October in the Superior Court, that one of the intentions for selling the water system was to provide tax relief for Hopewell Borough residents. And so I have not heard that mentioned, so I would appreciate some elaboration on that.
So Hopewell Borough will be selling its water system for $6.4 million. As part of that, we have submitted and had approved from the state a debt defeasance plan. Currently, much of what we collect from you and everyone in this room in taxes pays for that debt. As we have said, our community will have a choice through council and through a process that we're putting together to decide what to do with that savings. If we were to do nothing and just defease our debt, pay it off, we'll have approximately $1 million extra each year to do as the community sees fit. We are very interested in hearing from residents what they would like to be done. Whether it is tax relief, and whether it is new capital projects, whether it is increased or changes in services. My understanding is if we do nothing, we'll have extra money and have really no choice but to have our mill rate lowered. Very much encourage you and everyone else, both as part of a more formal process that we work through in the coming months, to express what you would like to be done.
Yeah, okay, I understand what you're saying. I also understand that you and many council members expressed the motivation for selling the water system would be to provide tax relief and affordability in Hopewell. So what we discovered through the process is that the council's agenda was really to spend money on a project that really has not been substantiated.
And what project would that be, Ms. White?
It sounds like you had already acquired
Which project are you referring to?
for the BPW building, which had already, the Borough Council had already acquired new debt prior to the sale of.
I assume you mean the public works building. So I welcome you to check the borough website. You can see some of the history of the spending on this. Of the debt that the borough carries, a significant portion of that is debt going back to 2021 for that project. So by defeasing that debt, essentially we will be enabling that project. But this is something that's been in the works for quite a bit of time, and the debt that kind of will be paid off and amount for the savings includes much of that project.
Mm-hmm. So It will be interesting to learn more about the process for the public input. I know that you had a process for public input with the water sale. However, none of the public input was really taken throughout that process.
I strongly disagree with that, but please continue with your questions.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see that if the public input process will be substantive on the Department of Public Works additional spending that has not been really
I
substantiated.
encourage you to join us on Saturday, take a look at the plans, and please provide whatever feedback you've got about what you think should happen there. We are actively looking at that, and I would very much like to hear from you and from everyone about it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Reorient my screen here to see if anyone else has their hand up. Jerry, I don't know if you can see on yours the way my screen is shifted. I don't at the moment. I don't believe I see any other hands up. Last chance, both in person or in the room. Seeing none, I will take a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll do.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Again, looking forward to seeing people on the 18th. That's the planning board meeting for affordable housing and public works update, and then at our meeting in March. Thanks so much. If you could end the meeting, I'm not able to.
Did you do a motion to adjourn?
What's that?
Did you do a motion to adjourn? I thought that was, you just did the close.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.